Here at KTEC, we get hundreds of questions each week. We can't answer them all, but we can answer 10 questions. Are you and StreetSpeed717 going to host a race in Detroit? We mentioned during the drag race event at the last call out that we were interested in doing a road racing event here in Michigan. So Mike and I have been talking about doing one at M1 Concourse in Pontiac, Michigan. It's my home track, so I'd really love to see all you guys out there. We get some YouTubers out there on the track and a lot of spectators. I'm looking forward to showing Mike how to turn right and left, doing a little road racing, and that'll be sometime in the spring. We're looking at dates, talking about it with the other participants. And stay tuned to our YouTube and social media channels for announcements. Do you plan on getting a new ZR1? In 2018, KTEC will be developing new products on the ZR1. We have a technical partner with a car on order. We plan on working with that technical partner. Personally, I'd love to have a ZR1. I don't plan on buying one myself, although we do have 20,000 YouTube subscribers, and if everybody donates $10 to a GoFundMe account, that's a pretty good budget for a ZR1. What would you recommend for a first track car for a novice who's also 6'4"? For an entry-level road race or autocross car, I'd recommend a C5 Corvette. They're fairly cheap to buy right now. You can do a few simple modifications to prep them for the track. You can always take them to the next level, but it's a good entry-level car. I'm 6'3", I have no problems fitting in them, so 6'4" is probably about the upper limit, but I think you'll still fit. For modifications, I'd recommend starting with the brakes, suspension, and tires before adding power. Get used to the car, get some training under your belt before simply just adding horsepower. Once you build up your skill level, a good engine package to consider for adding more power would be our 416 LS3. It's an affordable package that has the components to increase durability and has about 600 horsepower. Has KTEC ever built an LS7 powered 4th Gen Fbody? That's a good question. Actually, KTEC was the first company to ever install an LS7 in a 4th Gen Camaro. We used a 2000 Camaro 6-speed as the base car, installed a dry sump LS7. We used the RPM transmission, BMR supplied some suspension components, and it had SSBC brakes. The car was featured in GM High-Tech magazine, and it went down the drag strip high 10s at about 132 miles an hour. What is the 3rd Gen Camaro under the cover in the shop? I got asked this question a lot as we were posting other videos. You could see a 3rd Gen Camaro undercover in the shop. People want to know what it was. That's one of my personal cars. It's a 91 Camaro Z28 1LE. I built it as a tribute to a car that GM made for SEMA 1991 actually. 1LE was a showroom stock racing spec car. So in the mid-'80s, they were using Camaros for racing in the Canadian Players Club Challenge and some other road racing series. And the cars weren't holding up. The brakes were not holding up to the rigors of road racing. And they had fuel starvation issues and things like that. So GM solved the problem by making a 1LE package, which included upgraded heavy-duty brakes with some components from some other GM vehicles. It's got the Corvette calipers, and I think they used a brake rotor from the Caprice or one of the larger vehicles, and they put together this brake package. They put baffles in the fuel tank, aluminum drive shaft. These were stripped-down cars, radio delete, no air conditioning, hard tops, no power windows or locks or things like that. This was in 1988. They made 4 cars. 1989, they made a few more. And by about 1990, the public started realizing that you could buy this package and basically have a race car from GM. So it started to become a little bit more popular. By 91, I believe they made 475, still a rare car. But GM uses 1LE code to this day with the 5th and 6th Gen Camaros. They've taken that legacy forward and made a track version of the 5th and 6th Gen Camaros with the 1LE package. I updated it to a more modern LS3 with a 4L60 transmission built by RPM. The car has a rad paint scheme that really looks 90s, and I wanted to duplicate that. I built the entire car at home in my garage with the exception of the exterior paint. It got stripped down to a bare shell. I restored basically everything on the car, installed a stock LS3 and a 4L60 transmission. It's stock LS3, so about 460 horsepower. I wasn't really concerned with making the most power because it's more a show or cruiser type of car. It has a lot of restoration components from Hawks Motorsports. The engine features KTEC valve covers that are painted to match the neon yellow color and has a KTEC belt tensioner in purple. The interior was done by Lethal Interiors. I took some stock 4th Gen Camaro leather seats, and Lethal Interiors made the covers for them in the neon yellow color to match the original car. It was hard to find the material, and one day I was on Facebook and saw a company I follow, Vaughn Sports, that makes hockey goalie equipment, posted the material, and I'm friends with the family that owns that company. So I asked them for some of the material, and it was perfect for a seat because it's extremely durable for hockey pads, and it was the exact color that I was looking for. So Lethal Interiors sewed the covers together, and then I put the seats together and restored a lot of the interior. I finished the installation and the restoration, got the car up and running, and sent it off to the body shop, where Custom Creations painted it using House of Color, Hawaiian Purple Pearl, neon yellow, and white. They did the complete paint job, and it was back at KTEC for the tuning and to work out a few bugs. So the car's up and running now. The wheels are Ronal R15 replicas, just like the original car. The car was recently featured in Chevy High Performance magazine. I'll put a link in the description for more information. What is your favorite track you've ever raced on? So I haven't raced on a whole lot of tracks, but I've spent a lot of time on a few select tracks. One of my favorites is Autobahn South, just because I've got so many laps around there. I know it really well. I feel like I'm really fast on that track. Although M1 Concourse, being an instructor there, I've really racked up a lot of laps there, so that one's growing on me. One of the most interesting ones was definitely VIR. With its long straightaway in my C6 Z06, I hit 159 miles an hour on the back straight. Probably had another 10 miles an hour to go, but I was braking early. That's not the craziest part of the track though. The front straight has a kink that I was hitting at about 145 miles an hour with a wheel turn like this, so that's pretty exciting. Does KTEC have a head cam package for the LS3? Yes, we have our Torker LS3 cam, which is a nice, fairly mild cam that's very drivable, but still puts out quite a bit of power. With our CNC ported head program, it'll make 540 horsepower. I'll put a link to the products in the description. What are the benefits of variable valve timing on the LT1? When we were doing development on the LT1 engine, we were playing around with cam phasing. So the LT1 has a cam phaser that sweeps the camshaft to advance or retard the cam. Some people are eliminating this, which is a possibility based on your package, but we found some benefit in phasing the cam in our 427 LT1. It was interesting. At first, we didn't see a benefit from it on the 427, but as we modified the engine more, it benefited from cam phasing more. So we added the MSD intake manifold and then added cam phasing back into it, and we picked up 50 horsepower just from those two things combined. So doing the cam phasing alone didn't benefit very much, but after we added airflow with the MSD intake manifold, that cam phasing did show quite a large benefit. That allowed us to push our power target, or to achieve our power target of 700 horsepower on the 427 LT1. What carts do you use for drivetrain removal on a C6? So you may have seen some of the carts that we use in some of our videos. So there's two parts of this question. If you're asking about the drivetrain itself, what that sits on, there's some blue tables. Those are hydraulic lift carts, which we'll show, which make it easier to slowly drop the powertrain out of the bottom of the vehicle. And then if you're asking about what we put on the car to roll it around the shop, those are custom made roller carts with some casters, and those come in handy when the engine is in the engine build department, yet we still have to get the vehicle off the hoist and be able to move it around the shop, but with no cradle in it, you can't put wheels on it and roll it around. So we fabricated some custom cradles with casters on them so we can roll the cars around the shop without a powertrain in them, without cradles in them, without wheels and tires. What are your plans for the StreetSpeed717 Z06? So we get asked this question a lot. We did a lot of vlogging about the car. We stopped for a while while we're waiting for the differential. We're back on the car, but we've hit another roadblock. We're waiting on a fuel line. It's on intergalactic back order. What are we going to do? We're going to turn it into our Stage 3 package, which is our camshaft package with ported heads, upper and lower pulley, and it's got the ported supercharger already. So we're expecting around 800 or more horsepower at the crankshaft. Once we get that last part, everything will start to move very quickly. I've got some aero changes. We're going to be going to the Stage 3 level of aero. So we're putting the KTEC splitter on it. You already saw in a previous video, I painted that carbon flash to match the other aero parts. We've taken the big wing off, so we're adding the factory wing back on and the Stage 3 wickers on the back of the spoiler. After we're done with the powertrain work, it's tuned and up and running, it's going to go to the body shop and get the Lamborghini style door hinges removed, go back to factory style doors, get some touch up on the paint, and get the new deck lid painted to match. This has been 10 questions. Look for another 10 in January.